Dear viewers, welcome in a new episode of the program, The Field, and the live broadcast this year is going to give you a continuous images for this season, pilgrimage season, in addition to the paragraphs and different segments. Around the clock, we are greeting you again from Maidan, the field, and we're gonna transfer to you the images and the picture of the pilgrimage and the entities that are servicing the pilgrims today and tomorrow and the day after and the after tomorrow as well. This compatibility is rare, where the Prophet performed his pilgrimage, which happened during a Friday, and this is one of the among the holidays that rarely happen with this matching, which is the best day of the year happened to be during the same day of the week. We start as usual with the caricature artist, Sam. Good morning. Yesterday the caricature was nice, and we spoke about social media, and we call it social pilgrimage. And before we start with the philosophy of caricature with the artists or the painters, it will convey the message in a simple way. You think this is happening or not? Of course, the caricature, the idea of caricature depends on conveying an issue or a case in the form of polygraphy. And its main objective and its simple concept depends on drawing, but by the development of time and the progress of time, even the comics and the texts, the segment pertaining with caricature to convey information, but there are things that caricature that leave the viewer and gives him opportunity to conclude or come up with an idea. This is one of the preferable work that take a deeper image. We have a certain segment of which is more difficult. Is it difficult for a woman or man, the child or the youth, or the old man or the young man? We're gonna discuss this today, and we place this question on social media. Let's see some of the answers that comes to your mind. Some answers or some participations talk about the spiritual aspect, that the burden doesn't have an age, doesn't have an age or a creed, but it is it's an intangible thing. I don't know what you have in mind, but let's leave it as a surprise. So we're going to have a couple of drawings. Dear viewers, each year a lot of old pilgrims come to perform, and some of them they are sick and they cannot be able to perform it. And pilgrimage is Arafah, and that's why a lot of mobile medical stations that equipped with beds, and they have medical equipments and tools, so we can accompany the pilgrims and to be able to assist them and make them be able to complete their performance. And there are about 9 vehicles, so they can aid those who can be able to move and to help them. Let's go over this report, and it's been shot today this morning, so let's go over it together. Today, the convey is going to Arafah. What does it consist of? The services provided. Peace and blessings be upon the Prophet in the name of God, most gracious, most merciful, and executing to the guidance of King Abdullah ibn Abdul Aziz, and to receive the pilgrims and to provide all the services and to have them perform their duties in an easy way, and by the directions of Prince Abdullah and the head of the health affairs as well. Of course, today is Arafah, and praise be to Allah, and we are completely ready, and we provided the vehicles, and we equipped them with the medical staff and technical staff, and we have administrative staff and religious awareness staff and support units, and that we have food supplements, and we have ambulances accompany those conveys. For God forbid, if something happened to a pilgrim, they can provide this medical intervention. And now we brought some patients from hospital through those vehicles and to send them to Arafah's site. And we established a tent and buffet to provide them with food and other things. And we wished all the pilgrims to perform their duties in an easy way, and to have them come back to their countries in safe and sound. Came back to you, dear viewers, to comment on this part, the humanitarian part, pilgrimage, considered the fifth pillar of Islam, for those who can be able to achieve it. Of those who are disabled because of their sickness, or become disabled, or they're laying in the beds of hospital, and they can be able to stand in Arafah, and even to be able to be there. Therefore, those vehicles were equipped by beds, and their chairs were removed and equipped with medical staff. Let's see this special segment pertaining Al Noor Hospital, which considered a humanitarian part, where those pilgrims came from their countries with this medical situation, and they burden all these difficulties. and they arrive from their countries to here to holy sites, where originally they were laid down on their beds from the houses, and they came down to complete their duties. And those conveys are available right now, where they can be able to perform the pilgrimage, which is Arafah. So therefore, those humanitarian conveys are here to make the pilgrim able to perform the rituals completely, those obligatory. And we're going to come back to you with a lot of reports after this break. We're going to continue our episode. Welcome back, dear viewers, to continue paragraphs of our program, The Field. During this segment, we're going to take some of reports, field reports, and we're going to host, especially during this day, which is going to end by the day of Arafah, and then the biggest day of pilgrimage, which is the 10th day of Hajj, which is the day of sacrifice. It's called the day of the greatest pilgrimage, because a lot of obligatory is taking place. Dear viewers, now we're gonna take some of the field things which can be supplied with by our reporter, where the throwing pebbles are performed by those who are excused before sunrise. And we have Abdullah Hamid to show us what's happening in Mina right now. Abdullah, can you hear me? Welcome. How is Mina's situation after the arrival of pilgrims, that they are heading to the site of throwing pebbles and to the tents after a long day? As you have mentioned, pilgrims start to arrive to Mina's site after spending the greatest day of pilgrimage, the day of Arafah, and spending part of the night in Muzdalifah for those who are excused and weak. And those that are start to arrive to Mina's site. From the other side, when those excused people, they prefer to stay in their tent rather than go to perform the greatest pebbles throwing ritual. And then some of them, they went to perform this ritual, and then afterwards they went to perform the farewell circumambulation. Now the traffic, we witness a continuous motion of the trains and the traffic, where this train is taking the pilgrims throughout the 3 stations from Muzdalifah to the throwing pebbles site. And we are witnessing a continuous motion also of transporting pilgrims from Muzdalifah to Mina. All of everybody here is waiting to spend the 3 days of Tashriq, whether if it was a field readiness or and the campaigns also, they are ready to spend the next 3 coming days, with pertaining supplying food and other things. Thank you, Abdullah Hamid, for this debrief to give us a complete picture about what's happening in Mina right now. As we see through the images before us, we have the pebbles bridge and the process of throwing pebbles from those pilgrims after they pass by Muzdalifah, according to the religious duty. Now you see the throwing starts, and to exit the state of consecration of some of the pilgrims who are attending in Mina. We have a lot of reports in Mina, and direct ones and indirect ones, and some of them are recorded. So let us now go over this simple report about the passport role, where some pilgrims, they come to Kingdom of Saudi Arabia from abroad to the main entry places through entry harbors or air entry point or airports, where the immigration staff is receiving them. Let's go over the role. Why there's a process of taking fingerprints and taking picture of the person, and what are the things that the procedures that flowing in an easy way, so they can be able to finish up the documents. So let's go over this report and these images. So let's go over them together. What's happening through the immigration, through the stamping, and when they're coming through the entry points. Thank be to Allah. The pilgrim is received through the main hall by the staff of the immigration, and the employees start to disseminate them along the entry points and to finish up their procedures, and they present the counter to check the passport and check his health status. Let's go over the process by image and sound, and let's identify it even more. The information appears on the screen afterwards. We take the vital characteristics and take the fingerprints, and then we finish with this procedure, and then stamp the passport, and then he goes to the final checkpoint, and then he takes his luggage and go to the vehicle or the bus. This is the process of photographing. We can save the final saving process, and then we can be able to restore it. Let's say if the passport is lost or anything else happen, he can be able to come to the immigration to the affairs of pilgrimage and Umrah, and then he can be able to print his picture, and then we can be able to preserve his information. This is normal scenes. Let me ask a questions away from officiality. If someone his hand is his hand is cut, the supervisor have authority for certain people. If he lost his hand, we can take a photography, and maybe if his other hand is okay, we can be able to take fingerprints from the other finger, and then sometimes we overcome this procedure, and then we take it from the other hand. Why you go over the passport again? This is the last the final check of the pilgrims, and to make sure that the passport has been stamped. If someone's passport not stamped, they can be sent back to the counter, and then you take the vital characteristics and then be stamped. And sometimes people come, and he would surpass the counter without stamping. And you know, some people they're old and they're simple and they're not aware of this complexity. So they go to the final check, and then he's sent back to the counter, and then he gets stamped and then go back. This is the last final procedure. This is the last procedure with regard to the checkpoint. This is the employee. He goes over to check the passport, and he looks at the person real quick, and when he checks that the procedures are fulfilled, and then he passed. Thank you so much for your time. This was the role of one of the departments that are in service of the pilgrims, and where they're receiving the pilgrims at their first station, and they was receiving them with the fingerprinting, and this is one of the things that is recommended by the immigration department. And I'm pleased now that I have my brother Muhammad Jamil for being with us in the field. Brother Muhammad, now we were at the day of Arafah, and after the day of Arafah, now it's a long day and exhausting day, and there's a lot of spirituality, and along with the images that we went over. How do you find the day of Arafah and the importance of the day of Arafah pertaining, unifying the whole nation in one place and in one image and in one form for Muslims and Islam? God bless you for the day of Arafah and the first day of Eid, the sacrifice day. Of course, now the meaning of pilgrimage is beautiful, and the day of Arafah has a significant meaning. Now you have Islam with the words of the Prophet, and pilgrimage will wipe the previous sins. And those sins that are wiped in the day of Arafah are not like other days. And when you perform pilgrimage, you came back as if you were born, and you have a new start in your life. This is like a rehabilitating stage for a Muslim. This is one of the guys said, like, it's a training course. It's like a boot camp, because you learn all the pillars of Islam from the time you enter the pilgrimage season until you go back home. And those 3 Tashriq days have a special significance in the life of Muslims. Now you learn until you go back home, and then it will impact you and the rest of your life. And there's another hadith that angel Jibreel went and found a man, black hair and white clothes, and he came to the Prophet, and he put the hands on his thighs, and he came near to him. And what is Islam? He said to testify that there's no only God but Allah, and to give the almond, and to perform fasting and pilgrimage. And then he asked him, what's the belief? Just to believe in God and the angels and the revelations and the last day and the destiny as well, whether it's good and evil. And what is charity? And just to worship God as if you see Him. If you don't see Him, He will see you. These words that the religion has been summarized, and the Islamic decree in these 3 things: belief, Islam, and charity.
Perfect fit.
It's like a training course or a boot camp. We are in the 5th pillar of Islam, which is but if you intend to perform pilgrimage, going to the holy place of Allah, this is monotheistic. This is a monotheistic aspect. You go to Him. Why am I going there? Am I going to worship and to perform this obligatory, or so I can brag about it? Now, first thing that you have to declare the monotheism, and to declare that no God but Allah, and to perform the pillars or the duties of pilgrimage. And also you have to perform the supererogatories, and the obligatories are the most beloved things to Allah Almighty, and you are performing the most beloved one, which pilgrimage. Now let's talk about belief. Now it's hard, it's possible for one to travel from one country to another, but there's exhaustion, and there is a burden to come here. But if I don't have this belief, so I'm not This is not going to be counted. And I'm not assuming the best of Allah, that He's going to send me back to the time when I was first born. Now, when you come to the moment of being virtuous and to see over the rituals that you would see a person will do everything, will perform anything that the Prophet did in the past. If, let's say, if he went to the clergyman and he issued a decree for him, and he would go to another one. So he's tried to strive to extract and meet the best practices. So when you worship God as you see Him, but if you don't see Him, He will see you. So by taking the steps, and I spoke to one, and there's some people, they will facilitate things. So for example, that if you perform the throwing pebbles after noontime, some people will do it after sunset. And you will find some person come and say, I would love to follow the steps of the Prophet. Like, I'll try to do everything as Allah had said for us, and had the Prophet followed himself. And throwing pebbles for those who are excused. Now, even those who are longing to follow the steps. So, but if there was no opportunity to perform this ritual during these times, sometimes people are excused, but they are still rewarded. As the Prophet said, there are people in the Medina, they have the same rewards that those who are performing, because they wanted to go for jihad, but they were excused. So those who couldn't be able to come, they were still rewarded. So he wanted to perform sunnah, but because of an excuse, he couldn't be able to perform it completely, but he would still be rewarded as of the person who performed it completely, because his heart is linked to the sunnah. Let's go to the days of Tashriq, and especially the Eid, and let me greet you for this occasion. And what is the effect for the pilgrim, and how does it affect the non-pilgrim? There are a lot of, there's the most forgiving days for Muslims on the face of earth. Some people, the most people who can be able to reach those meanings are those who are watching, and they see people that are going to Arafah in a certain time, and they go out from Arafat to Mina and Muzdalifah in a certain time. Those that are looking from outside the books, he would understand this comprehensive meaning. A lot of meanings. This is something different. The day of Arafah, even Allah said, I'm going to be with you wherever you are. And the mercy of people is all over the place. And let's stop at this break, and we have a certain timing. And dear viewers, please stay with us. We're going to go to this break.
We come back to you, our viewers, to continue our program. In this moment, I would like to note that you can communicate with us through the sites available for us and the main website, and you can communicate through the numbers before you on the screen, and have interference in this direct transmission. I can read some of the participations in our subject which is more difficult, the man or the woman, the old or the small. The question, the elderly faces difficulties. There is an intervention saying whether the elderly man, woman, child or not, it is the same for all. It is the body and spirit. Amira says everything is easy in obedience to God. The Muslims used to feel that God is with them and didn't feel tired except after they came back to their home. I hope that they will be happy during Hajj and after they go back home. We will read some of the things written here. After a while, we will continue with our dialogue with Muhammad Jamil. I have a report. I would like to complete the special part of Arafah for a non-pilgrim. On the occasion of Arafah yesterday, I was talking to this sheikh. I was fixing some things with him. The pilgrimage is it will there is no chance to go for Hajj. Even if you go to Arafah and stand there, just to stand there, you are considered as a pilgrim. And Umar ibn al-Khattab was carrying his mother, on his back. On the day of Arafah, it has a blessing that day. And those who are in repentance, at Rafa'ah, it is that place is all of it a mercy. Even if you stand there in the interventions here, we receive the calls of people in the morning, and after sunset we received calls from people who are not non-pilgrims, and they were at home and they were feeling and influenced with Hajj and with the scene, and we see that their parents in their countries, they are very far from Mecca, and they weep and they long for a pilgrimage. And I see the crowds here and there with perhaps he is unable in terms of health conditions, but I have to go. Anyone think how you are tired and you find an old man 90 years or more and he is going up the mountain, and you see a very good scene, and those married old one as if they are young and they are walking, or a pregnant woman, this is the situation of perfection of faith. God knows you and sees you, and this is the best prescribed obligations for him, and this is the situation of ihsan or perfection of faith. We hope that we will perform Hajj and to go to any hospital and understand what he sees. And as for the feeling, we have had a report about the man who gives them water or Zamzam water and distributes them, and the idea was we went to the field itself regarding the gift of the pilgrim and the mu'tamir. I found the scene was very beautiful. I told the young people of Mecca, how do you feel in spreading water to the impressions were excellent. And I wanted to experience the distribution of Zamzam water. Let us see the report. The services you render. As for the beneficiaries, the services are so many. For the man who gives water to the pilgrims, it is a program. It is a revival to the Meccan heritage, the old one, but it is made in a beautiful way, where it is a cylinder here full of water, Zamzam. It is cooled and it is incensed with the Meccan incense, and the young people put them on their backs and they distribute them to the pilgrims. As for the places where you go, are they close to your main location? They are far, or we go to the pilgrims. They come to you, some of them, and they reach the yards. They don't go. They drink Zamzam. Sometimes we go down to them, and if they do not drink them at Haram. As for cooling, here we have coolers. They are filled the first shift and the second shift. About 3 freezers like this, 1, 2, 3. They are available, and we put 20 gallons from these in order to be cold. And if we keep them until tomorrow, it will be colder than as it is now. You take it, it is very cold. We experienced one, it was perfect. Some of the pilgrims drink warm water. Some of them, they like it to be cold. If they drink cold or warm, they don't say anything. I will try one. How do you carry it? I will experience this. This is it is simple. Even if you pour to the people, it is simple. Nobody complained and said that it is heavy, or this is as you press here, you pour the water from it. This report, it is a good experience for you. How perfect God is, the dialogue with the people and the words of the pilgrims. The beautiful word can make the stone soft. Thank you. one of the best situations which I felt, it is a very simple idea. It may be arranged and it is organized and very arranged very well. A simple thing which I felt in this scene. One of the brothers from the pilgrims, and I gave him the water. He told me that I don't have money. I said to him, it is free, and he took it and smiled. It is by pressure, and there are certain cups, very light, and it takes 1 gallon of Zamzam water, and you can add some. It is light without when it is very, very light. It is available everywhere. The coming days will be just for eating and drinking, which are the days following Eid. Let us take a tour, simple tour. Tomorrow is the slaughtering day. After these days, the slaughtering day for the pilgrim and the non-pilgrim, the first day of Eid, where the families and the relatives meet. After the Eid, the idea behind it, the result thereof for the pilgrim, is it important? In camping, and what about the other days? And some of them, how can you combine the remembrance of God, eating and drinking, and it is how can we understand such interfering issues after you finish Arafah and the first day of Eid? This is a moment of change in your life. You have made repentance, and your sins wiped out. It is purification process. After that, you come to Arafah day, and you decide, you take a decision to change and to start to change. Sometimes you can't. As the days after Eid, all the signs or the verses of God has meanings, and God knows. In the days after Eid, it has a lot of meanings. It is the days of eating, drinking, and remembrance of Allah. And you can change your ihram garments, and you can be dressed but you just you do not make intercourse with your wife or cohabit with her, or the marriage or the engagement with a lady. It is not allowed for you during these days. You are isolated from your life, from your family. God gave you permission to eat and drink. Nobody can live without eating or drinking. What does it mean to? After you have recognized change, at the end, it may go in excess of worshipping. Your natural life is to eat, drink, and remembrance of God for your spirit. The eating and drinking for your body. The man is composed from body and spirit. The day of Arafah, whole day standing at Arafah, from early in the morning, the travel, especially in the old days, it was by walking on foot. When can he eat, take breakfast, take lunch in Arafah? It is just going from Arafah. He spends the night of Muzdalifah. It is barren place. There is no eating and drinking therein. As an equation, how to compensate for such these 2 days. However, it is not similar to your life outside Hajj. The man is created from spirit and body. In order to be able to live, he has to eat and drink, and he eats and drinks. And the spirit, in order to live, it is from the order of Allah. It requires God to remember God. In order, this remembrance and celebration of the name of God has so many secrets. It prohibits from doing bad things, and the prayer has certain determined time, and whatever with you're accustomed to remember and to say words or the routine remembrance of for asking God to forgive you, or your tongue should be accustomed to remember God all the time. You don't have from your prayers except the things which you could understand and recognize, and you take recompense for your tongue which remembers God and mention the name or celebrate the name of God. You follow this as a system in your life. I will take Muhammad al-Ja'ad in Mina. I am interested in linking between remembrance. You have 3 days after Eid, the remembrance of God. It is available with you during that period. We in the field, we want to show the viewers and follow up the event day by day. We have Muhammad al-Ja'ad from Mina to let us know the latest developments in Mina. I hope the most of coverage between Mina and Muzdalifah until the prayers of Eid. Muhammad al-Eid, what do you tell us in these moments? Happy Eid, Muhammad. Happy Eid, my colleague and my teacher Ihab, and your guest. Congratulations from here, from Mina. It is loaded with love to the Arab and Islamic world of Adha Eid. Happy Eid for the viewers of Ikra in every place. Actually, my colleague Ihab, the pilgrims have started to arrive early in the night from 12 o'clock. The pilgrims who are speedy to go back home, to throw the first Jamra. The situation at Mina, it is from the time they went to from left Arafah, the actions from the municipality starting to clean Mina to be ready to receive Mina, the pilgrims at Mina as the day of slaughtering. And after in the attention given by the Saudi government, Prince Salman bin Abdulaziz, the crown prince, came and arrived here to supervise on the pilgrims on behalf of the custodian of the two holy mosques. The government and the security procedures and services are available at Al Jamarat, the place, and helped in solving the crowding which used to be, and this great facility have resolved a great part of this problem. Actually, we are waiting the performance of dawn prayer at Muzdalifah and the arrival of the rest of pilgrims to carry out the day of slaughtering and to throw the first people and then to slaughter and to cut or shave their hair. Thank you, and Abdullah Hamid, who was with us in Al Jamirat and near circumambulation institutions. I'd like to about the preparations for tomorrow, where many of the security institutions to be ready after the coming of the pilgrim to throw the first people or the Jamra. You are tired until you arrived in Mina. Thank you for this effort. What are the preparations which you found when you arrived at your place here? Actually, the security procedures are distinguished, but some of the buses and vehicles were congested, especially at the beginning of Muzdalifah, but the situation here at Mina is easy and the preparations are carried out by the security bodies, and they are ready at preparing 15,000 soldiers and officers. They are all ready to interfere in any emergency and to streamline the incoming and outgoing of the pilgrims to throw Jamarat. At the health level, the Ministry of Health declared yesterday that there is no injuries or sickness, thanks to God. I take your congratulations on air on the occasion of Eid. Who would like to congratulate directly now? Actually, in this place at Mina, would like to congratulate my my father and mother, brothers and sisters, and the crew of Ikra channel, and I congratulate you in person. Thank you for this these brief words about the situation at Mina. Muhammad from the people of Mecca, and known in spite that he is from the people of Mecca, and being here he is with me, so we would like to continue in the remembrance of Allah during the days after Eid. All the activities after the campaigns, you have the very beautiful activities, the remembrance of Allah. One of the scholars or the people who are talking about Allah and remind people to there are many lessons given in their campaigns. This is one type of remembrance. However, from forgiveness and go to schools of remembrance, he is living in mercies and remembrance alone. And on the day, do we have time? We had I had some things I wanted to seek God to help me in this, but the scholar, the sheikh, told me just continue on saying La ilaha illallah, there is no God but Allah, and the remembrance you can help everything, every problem is resolved for you. And if you mention the name of God, your tongue alone works in remembrance of Allah. You when you have this is in company and concentrate on remembrance that say La ilaha illallah in a situation, in difficult situation you see La ilaha illallah, it is one word, and any situation you seek the help of God all the time, and you feel that there is nobody with me except Allah. This is the same meaning, and you are living your life with celebration of the name of Allah, and Allah can help you to do this as a custom. I say to you, happy Eid, happy Eid. My family, my mother, and the people of Ikra, all of them, and all the Islamic community. And last year, I hope that coming time to take the spiritual point from you. Thank you, and happy Eid before you go break, and we will continue the rest of our program.
Welcome back, dear viewers, to continue the rest of our episode. And during these moments, today considered as the most important day in pilgrimage, where the security departments are ready after the sunrise of the day of Muzdalifah, and where the pilgrims are going to Muzdalifah and picking up the peoples according to the Sunnah from Muzdalifah and heading to Mina to throw the great day of Aqaba. And after exiting the consecration and after throwing the peoples, heading to the places designated for cutting hair, and also the other duties of performing sacrifices, and the plans that been set by the authorities for those who want to perform their duties, and the other services directed to the pilgrims. And this is one of the essential things or the necessary services in pilgrimage. But there are some other beautiful aspects in the pilgrimage which are not from the necessary things, but some entities are undertake, and they are contributing entities, so they can please the pilgrimage and draw a smile on their faces. And one of those entities, the project of the gift of the pilgrim, that's implemented by the Minister of Endowment and Islamic Affairs in Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, where they initiate a project to improve the recitation. Just imagine this Persian pilgrim, or even Arabic, was considered not a continuous reader for Quran. There are designated places to improve this recitation and correct the errors of this recitation, where those places are in malls and maybe in public places where they take breaks, so we can be able to improve the recitation of Al-Fatihah's chapter. Let's see, dear viewers, this report to see those important efforts pertaining those services, but also they are extremely necessary for the pilgrim itself, and it has the greatest impact on him. Dear viewers, we are pleased during these moments while we are the location of the gift office for pilgrim. We meet Sheikh As-Salehi, who is an establishing member, and he's a board member as well, where he's going to talk to us about the program of improving recitation of the Quran. Let's start a quick glance about the importance or the reflection of the program of improving recitation. God bless you. Greeting to you all, and welcome to the association of the gift of the pilgrim, where we receive everyone with open hearts. And this program of improving recitation that is specialized to improve the recitation. All of the viewers are aware that the prayers one of the main pillars of Islam, and one of the most important pillars after declaring testimony, and also it's all about making sure that everyone is reading and reciting the Quran properly. After a field visit or a field survey, and to go over, to stand on the level of reciting the Quran, and to see the requirement, and to go over the level of recitation. And we see a lot of pilgrims are old in age, and some of them, they didn't read, and they didn't go to schools, and he didn't learn it with one of the clergy men. And this is an important pillar just to recite correctly. So the association decided to can benefit those pilgrims and to correct their prayers and their worship. And this is where we have the program will serve or has about 650 teachers in Mecca and Mukarramah and places of worship. And we have 150 women and about 450 men to help those pilgrims to recite correctly. We reached to the end of today's episode, and before I end, I would like to mention one of the participants about the topic. What is the hardest thing on what is the most difficult thing? Is it on the older or the younger or the child or the man? When the man sees this immaculate place, and when he feels that Allah is proud of his worshipper before his angels, and he will feel, anyone will feel a force within himself just to burden all this affliction. Now we reach to the caricature with the artist Abdurrahman al-Jabari. Let's see the drawing real quick, the paint. Let's give us a simple idea. It's about the topic that we spoke about earlier, and who has the most competency and has the most stamina. We came to a topic that the spiritual aspect may be the biggest drive, the other person maybe he has so many muscles, but he didn't have the same competency as the older one. So this is like it was a comic thing. A lot of pilgrims here have high spirits, whether they were young or old, and a pilgrimage doesn't recognize an age or a creed. Whoever knows the pilgrimage, he will recognize it with the high spirituality. At this point, we end our episode, The Field. We'll meet you tomorrow at the same time. So long.